There's a simple truth about life that nobody likes to hear. Life rewards the people who know how to play the game, not the ones who expect fairness, not the ones who expect comfort, not the ones who panic at the first sign of difficulty. Life is a chessboard, and resilience is the thing that keeps your hands steady when every piece starts to fall. Resilient people don't live easier lives, they live smarter ones. They don't collapse every time something goes wrong because they understand something most people avoid. Discomfort is not a punishment, it's part of the human contract. But here's the twist. The people who thrive aren't the ones who suffer less. They're the ones who respond better. They learned how to breathe inside the storm instead of waiting for the weather to change. And that's why they win. You've met these people, the ones who stay remarkably calm under pressure, the ones who don't explode, don't break, don't lose themselves when life becomes chaotic. They're not superhuman. They're trained. Life trained them. Experience trained them. And at some point, they made a decision. I won't live reacting. I'll live responding. That is resilience. The difference between reacting and responding is the difference between surviving and evolving. People who react get swallowed by the problem. People who respond reshape the situation. They don't let the challenge define them. They define themselves while facing the challenge. And here's the psychology behind it. Resilient people have emotional regulation, which means they don't drown in their own feelings. They feel deeply, but they don't get stuck. Their brain doesn't escalate everything into catastrophe. They have margin, space, clarity, even when the situation is messy. They have adaptability, which makes them flexible when life changes the rules mid-game. They don't freeze. They don't complain. They move fast. They shift strategies without losing themselves in the process. They have what psychologists call learned optimism. But it's not the fluffy kind. It's the strategic kind. They don't assume life will get better on its own. They assume they will get better. They believe in their capacity to create movement, not in the universe magically arranging things for them. And maybe the most important trait, they're excellent problem solvers. Not because they're smarter, but because their mind is trained to look for solutions instead of replaying the problem. They know one of the most powerful truths about resilience. Energy flows where attention goes, so they put their attention where it actually matters. But here's where most people get stuck. They think resilience means not feeling pain. No. Resilience is feeling pain without letting it control the narrative. They think resilience is being unaffected. No, resilience is being affected and moving anyway. They think resilience is being cold, detached. No, resilience is the opposite. It's being present, conscious, aware, but not enslaved by emotion. Let me tell you something real. People who are highly resilient are not lucky. They're not naturally calm. They're not born with thicker skin. They simply learned to stop negotiating with the idea of giving up. At some point, they looked at life and said, whatever happens, I'm staying, and life respects that kind of energy. But maybe the most transformative element of resilience is this. Resilient people take responsibility. They don't blame their parents, the past, society, or circumstances for every emotional bruise. They don't build an identity around wounds. They build one around capability. They ask different questions. Not why is this happening to me? But what can I do from here? Not who's responsible for my pain, but who's responsible for my next step? Not how do I avoid discomfort, but what's the smartest move I can make right now? And that mindset alone changes everything. Here's the truth. Resilient people aren't calm because life gave them calm conditions. They're calm because they have internal structure, internal solidity, internal leadership. They're not controlled by fear. They negotiate with it. They're not controlled by insecurity. They study it. They're not controlled by chaos. They organize themselves, then organize the moment. If you've ever wondered why resilient people seem to move through life differently, it's because they know the secret most people ignore. You don't need an easier life. You need a stronger inner system. And if you want that inner system, if you want the kind of calm that is earned, not borrowed, then stay with me. Because the next part of this video is exactly where everything shifts. If you want a mind that doesn't break every time life shakes, keep watching. This is where resilience stops being a concept and becomes a practice. Let's go deeper, because here's the part people don't like to hear. Most individuals think they're resilient until real life tests them. The breakup, the financial hit, the job loss, the betrayal, the failure they didn't expect. That's where the truth shows up, not in theory, in impact. Resilient people don't have less impact. They just have better response time. When something goes wrong, people without resilience collapse into 3 patterns: victimhood, paralysis, drama. And all three have the same root, the belief that life should have gone differently. But resilient people don't waste time wishing the past were another shape. They're too busy shaping the next step. Let's break down the psychology that makes this possible. 1. They understand emotional physics. Every emotion has two phases, the wave and the interpretation. Most people drown in the wave because they confuse it with the meaning. Resilient people don't do that. They feel the wave and then choose the meaning. They don't say, I failed, so I'm a failure. They say, I failed, so now I have data. They don't say, this hurts, so I should stop. They say, this hurts, so I'm expanding. They don't say, why me? They say, why not me? Let's move. It's not delusion. It's emotional leadership. 2. They refuse to catastrophize. Catastrophizing is the mental habit of turning pain into apocalypse. Most people don't even realize they do it. A delay feels like doom. A mistake feels like identity. A conflict feels like rejection. A challenge feels like destiny collapsing. Resilient people cut this pattern at the root. They don't permit their brain to escalate everything into tragedy. They treat problems in proportion, but not projection. 3. They practice cognitive reframing. This is not thinking positive. This is thinking strategically. Reframing means, what's the most useful interpretation I can have right now? Usefulness over emotional comfort. Clarity over ego. Movement over paralysis. Resilient people don't choose the story that feels good. They choose the story that gets them out of the hole. 4. They have an internal locus of control. This might be the strongest psychological marker of all. People with an external locus believe life happens to them. People with an internal locus believe life happens with them. That's why resilient people are dangerous, in the best way, because they know something most people deny. No one is coming. You are the one who moves your life, not your parents, not your childhood, not the economy, not the algorithm, not fate, you. That belief alone rewires a person. 5. They don't personalize everything. When something goes wrong, most individuals jump to the same conclusion. It's me. I'm the problem. Resilient people don't take everything personally. They analyze, they adjust, and they don't attach their entire self-worth to a single event. Because here's the truth. If you take everything personally, you will break personally. 6. They tolerate discomfort. Not as martyrs, as strategists. Discomfort is the price of evolution. Resilient people understand that deeply. They don't interpret discomfort as danger. They interpret it as adaptation. That's why they grow faster. That's why they level up quicker. That's why they look lucky to outsiders. Luck is just resilience in motion. 7. They focus on what's controllable. A resilient mind is efficient. It doesn't waste energy in places where actions can't exist. They don't argue with reality. They don't negotiate with impossibility. They don't chase validation or revenge or nostalgia. They ask, what is in my hands right now? And then they act. 8. They edit their environment. This is huge. Resilient people don't keep relationships that drain their energy. They don't negotiate with toxic dynamics. They don't give unlimited access to people who don't respect their boundaries. They curate their surroundings like their future depends on it. Because it does. 9. They learn fast. Every setback is data. Every mistake is curriculum. Every challenge is training. But here's the difference. Most people collect lessons. Resilient people apply lessons. And that creates compounding emotional intelligence, the kind that builds a life from the inside out. Now listen closely, because this is the pivot of the entire video. Resilience is not a personality trait. It's a system you build. And the system has steps. Real, practical, applicable steps. Not fluffy advice. Not stay positive. Not spiritual bypass. Not denial. Actual psychological structure. And that's exactly what we're going into next. If you want the exact mental architecture resilient people use, the one you can build today, keep watching. This is where resilience becomes a map. Now let's step into the heart of resilience. The part nobody teaches, but every resilient person lives. Because somewhere along the way, society sold us a lie. That resilience is this mystical, rare quality that only strong people have. No. Resilience is built daily, consciously, deliberately. And the people you admire, the ones who rise after life hits them, aren't stronger than you. They're simply better trained. So let me show you the training. 1. They know how to pause. Resilient people don't react at the speed of fear. They respond at the speed of clarity. The pause is where they process, not panic. It's where they regulate, not implode. Most people fear the pause because silence exposes truth. But resilient people use silence as a weapon. It's how they think. It's how they choose. It's how they stop emotional spirals before they take over. 2. They ask better questions. Your brain is a search engine, and it will answer whatever you ask. Most people ask, why is this happening to me? which triggers victimhood. Resilient people ask, "What is this here to show me?" which triggers growth. They ask, "What can I do right now?" What's the truth, not the story? What skill is this challenge forcing me to develop? Better questions create better lives, and it doesn't take years. It takes intention. 3. They build emotional stamina. Stamina isn't denial, it's endurance. It's the ability to feel without sinking, to hurt without quitting, to break without staying broken. Resilient people don't suppress emotions. They metabolize them. They let the feeling move through, and then they move forward. Because emotional stamina is not feeling. It's feeling without losing yourself inside the feeling. 4. They plan even when uncertain. This shocks people. Resilient individuals don't wait for confidence to act. They build confidence by acting. They make imperfect plans. They refine in motion. And they understand something essential. Uncertainty is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to step. Most people are emotionally dependent on certainty. Resilient people are emotionally trained for ambiguity. That's why they progress while others pause. 5. They repair their self-image. This is one of the strongest pillars of resilience. Most people operate from broken self-esteem and don't even realize it. Their identity is built on fear, comparison, and criticism. So any setback becomes proof of inadequacy. Resilient people fix this early. They build a solid sense of self, not an inflated one, not an ego trip, a grounded self-image based on capability, not perfection. They don't need to be flawless to feel worthy. They just need to be evolving. And that alone changes their entire life trajectory. 6. They practice micro-recoveries. Burnout doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from not recovering enough. Resilient people take small, intentional resets throughout the day. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 deep breaths, a walk, a pause, a recalibration. Micro-recoveries protect your nervous system. And when your nervous system is regulated, your mind becomes unstoppable. 7. They celebrate progress, not perfection. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They dismiss small wins. They wait for giant milestones. They give up because the journey feels long. Resilient people understand the mathematics of transformation. Small progress plus consistency has reinvention. They don't underestimate tiny shifts. They know that everything big starts ridiculously small. And because they honor the small steps, they arrive at places most people only dream about. 8. They turn pain into instruction. Life will hit you. That's guaranteed. The difference is what you do with the hit. Most people repeat their pain. Resilient people read their pain. They study it like data. They extract the lesson. They integrate it into their identity. And then they move differently. Pain becomes teacher, not identity. And when pain teaches you, it stops controlling you. And now, here's the part no one expects. Resilience is contagious. When you become resilient, your relationships get healthier. Your standards rise. Your emotional availability expands. Your decisions get sharper. Your boundaries become clearer. Your life gets lighter, not because it gets easier, but because you get stronger. And this strength isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's not ego-driven. It's quiet, grounded, mature power. The kind that people feel the moment you walk into a room. It's the energy of someone who deeply understands. I can handle my life. No panic, no chaos, no emotional dependence. Just presence, clarity, direction. That's resilience. That's psychology in motion. That's what rewrites a life from the inside out. And now, breathe. Because here's the real question. What would your life look like 1 year from now? If you decided, today, to build resilience on purpose, not as a reaction, not as survival, but as identity. Imagine your career with resilience, your relationships with resilience, your self-worth with resilience, your decisions with resilience, your future with resilience. You already know the answer. Everything would change. And if you're ready to make that shift, keep watching the channel. Every video here exists to help you build this level of psychological strength from the inside out with clarity and truth. You don't need motivation, you need structure, and that's exactly what you'll get. Subscribe, stay close, and keep walking with us. This is Human Wave, where awakened minds rise into a life of wholeness and fulfillment.